So now, from here, we establish an inside foot with a cross hamstring. We establish an inside hand and knee position relative to our partner's hip and knee, or a hand and elbow position relative to our partner's hip and knee. Now, when she feels that she can't bring the knee inside, when she tries to bring her knee back through and come inside, and she feels like she can't, one of the most common options from here is for her to take her leg and bring it over into a position like so. The first thing I'm going to do, so my first early defense, is when I see her leg pommeling over, I'm going to straighten my arm and I'm going to turn my shoulder down so that she has a hard time bringing her foot inside my shoulder. So as she goes to pommel her leg through, even if she gets it over, I can turn my shoulder down and I can fight to bring my shoulder back inside of my partner's leg. And then from here, we can go into the same pattern we did. Now let's say my partner pommels all the way through and she hooks inside of my armpit. So now there's no ability to turn my shoulder down. From here, we're going to come in, we're going to stand up, and as we pull my partner's leg across, we're going to pommel our left foot inside just like before. So that now from here, we can reach up, we can grab over our partner's knee, and we can sit down to our right knee. The whole thing from here, once I get into this leg drag position, is to bring my head over my partner's far shoulder. So it's the same concept, just from the opposite side. If my head is out here somewhere, she can always use her hands to push away. She can invert her left knee, so now that her left knee points towards me, now there's no guard pass. So in order to keep her knees pointing away from me, I have to pin her shoulders to the floor. I do this through my head position. So if I want her knees to point in this direction, my head has to move to the far shoulder. Now when she goes to push me away, it's useless. And now we can bring hands inside, we can come as a cross face, underhook, and we can move into a nice top pin. Okay, so from here, we're in position. We feel like my partner starts to lace hands over like so, or legs over like so. Initially, if we can fight the shoulder back inside, we can easily come in, and now we can come in, and we can do our passing from here. But if we feel she hooks all the way into my armpit, now I'm not going to be able to turn the shoulder and get the shoulder back inside the foot. So instead, I start coming up, I pull this across. As I pull this across, I pommel my left leg inside. Now from here, when she goes to move her legs around, it's difficult because I can always switch from a V-grip to a cup on the knee here. And now from here, I have to bring my hand to the floor, my right knee to the floor. If my head stays over the knee or shoulder, the pass will always fail. She can always push on my shoulder, invert the knee comes facing towards me, and now she's out. So as soon as I get to this position, my head comes over the far shoulder. So when she goes to recover from here, I can easily work into a top pin from a leg drag position. Okay, so we've looked at a couple of backstepping methods now. Now, obviously, there's going to be positions that overlap. I'm just going to try to show some new things from each of these positions when we enter into them a second or third or fourth time. Okay, so now we're in a split squat. We manage to step a foot to the inside, cross hamstring, and we're in a split squat. This time our partner manages to shoot up into an underhook and come up onto her elbow. Now, from here, one of the great options I have is to backstep over my partner's legs. Okay, if I stay in this position, she can easily bump me forward with her leg. She can start to come into single legs, back exposure, all kinds of things. Okay, if I whiz her on my partner, you can delay this. Okay, but now you're in kind of like a dogfight where either one of you can win, and it ends up in a scramble most of the times. A much better option is just to post my hands on the floor and raise my hips. The whole thing your partner's trying to do is get her head underneath your chest so that she can bump you forward and start to come up either into back exposure, where now her hips are higher than yours and her head is higher than yours, okay? Or start to move into attacks on singles or doubles and go into scrambles with wrestling attacks from there. Okay? So my whole thing immediately is as she comes up, it's just to plant my two hands on the floor and backstep past my partner's legs. Now, as I backstep, I don't want to just be naive with my left foot and just open up my leg. So my partner can also open up her left knee, and then I can end up in a position where you end up getting your back taken. So from here, I want to take my foot and place my shoelaces behind my partner's leg. So now as she goes to open her leg, I can just slide my shin down my partner's thigh, and now we can lock a full figure four with our legs. Where we just take our right ankle and place it behind the crease of our knee. Okay. Now, from here, if my partner's still up on her elbow, one of the best things we can do from here is come through and take an initial placement of our head over our partner's elbow. So just like in the rolling Kimura from a seated position, our head is going to move over our partner's elbow, and this is going to allow us to reach our right hand through. So our left hand grabs the wrist, and our right hand reaches through. Now from here, I unlock my triangle, and I just use my left foot to push me back onto my right elbow, and again, we end up in this Tikimura. Okay? And now again, we're in this position where we have attacks on all of our partner's body, and from here, if we want to pass, we just pendulum up, and then from here, scissor the legs, underhook, crossface, turning the hips down, and now we have the same pass we had before from the Tikimura. Okay? So from here, our partner comes in. She brings an underhook in this time. So if I feel like if I'm staying here, this is going to be bad news for me. So instead, my left foot comes up, I backstep so that from here my shoelaces come behind my partner's hamstring. When she goes to open up her knee with me, I can just slide my shin down my partner's leg. We lock in figure four and like so, and now we're ready to go into attacks. Assuming my partner stays up on her shoulder, I reach through with my right hand, and I make sure that I can access her wrist. Obviously, my hands are very long and she's small, so I can reach her wrist no matter what. But if you have a partner with broad shoulders and your arms are short, it's going to be hard to access the wrist unless you bring your head over the elbow. If the head comes over the elbow, no matter what the size discrepancy is, I can always grab the wrist and then access my own wrist. Now I unlock my legs and I just push myself back to my right elbow. So from here I can fall onto my right hip, and now we end up in a Tikimura, where we have all good attacking positions from here. If we're going to, again, come up into a pass, just a pendulum up to my right elbow, a scissoring of the legs, underhook comes in. As I turn my hips down, and we come in to a nice top pin and top side control. Okay. Now, another great option, if I feel like my partner's elbow isn't on the floor and she falls back down to her back, is from here, we come in, we post our two hands on the floor. As she comes up to her elbow and uses an underhook, we come in and we take a back step in like so. Now my partner knows that there's a Kimura available here. So she falls back down to her shoulder, and she stops me from getting an underhook here. So again, we have our passes where we can turn towards our partner, cover the head, and come in front of the guard. But another great option we have from here is we can grab our partner's far leg. So that from here, as we back step out, or as we bring our partner's knees towards us, our goal from this position is to connect our right knee to our partner's left hip. As we do this, we step over our partner's leg by pushing it down, and we end up in this position. Now the whole thing from here is a battle between her elbow and my knee. If her left knee can dominate the inside position against my right knee, or if her left elbow can dominate the inside position against my right knee, she'll always be able to knee elbow escape. So even if I have weight on my knee, if she brings her elbow inside of my knee and pushes my knee open, she can always bring her knee in, and now she's free. So the whole thing, when I step back, is to bring my knee to the pocket of my partner's hip, here, and sit down on my partner's legs. So that now when she goes to bring her left elbow inside, it's impossible from here. Now, we come in. If we can get an underhook, we use an underhook and a crossface. Okay. Well, if we can get an underhook and a crossface, we lean forward with locked hands. We always keep our right hip turned down, so at no point she can bring her left elbow inside. And now we use our left foot to palm one side as the butterfly hook to free our legs to either one, go into mount, or two, pommel across into side control. We make sure that when we go into mount, we don't just post and open up our knees, because now her left elbow can always come inside of my knee and she can go right back into a knee elbow escape. So it's very crucial that from here, when I free my foot, because I have the inside position with my right knee, look, when my foot comes out, we come in and I immediately slide my knee up to my partner's armpit, so that my toes and feet now contour to the shape of my partner's hip. So as she goes to knee elbow escape, not only is her elbow outside of my knee, but she can't physically bring her feet in towards my foot. Versus if they're down here, she can reach over with the ankle and trap my ankle. So as soon as we free our foot from this position, we always make sure that we slide our knee up to our partner's elbow. Here. So now when she goes to move around, she can't. When she goes to trap my ankle, she can't. When she goes to bring the elbow inside, she can't. When she goes to bridge, because my hips are no longer on top of my partner's, it has very little effect. I can always post with my head, and now we're easily past my partner's legs. So once again, we come in, we get to a split squat on our partner by stepping our foot inside. She comes up to an underhook from the split squat, so we post two hands, and we back step over, we go to a full figure four. Now she realizes there's a Kimura available, so she brings her shoulder back down to the ground. From here, we reach towards our partner's far leg with our free hand, and as we pull the leg back, we take a big step over the leg, and our right knee connects to our partner's hip. And from here, we put weight down on our partner's legs. So now when she goes to move around from here, her two knees are pinned, my knee is inside my partner's elbow, and we can go into easy passes from here. Now, assuming I can get an underhook, we go underhook, cross face, and from here, we start to bring a butterfly hook inside. Once we pass our leg to the outside, we always make sure, because our knee's in the inside position, that our knee comes up to our partner's armpit, and our toes and foot mold to the shape of our partner's hip. So that when she goes to bring her feet over and trap my ankle, it's physically impossible from here. When she goes to bridge and move me around, also very difficult. When she goes to bring the left elbow back inside, that's also very difficult. And now we have two exposed hands where I have inside position with my right knee, I have inside position with my left hand, and now we can immediately start working my partner's arms up and over her head and going right in for submissions from here. Okay. Another option from the same back step from the underhook is as we back step, we realize we can't get to a Kimura, and now we can't get to an underhook. So we bring our partner's legs towards us, and we sit down. From here, we come in. If we can't establish a left-handed underhook on the far side, we come in and we settle for a cross face, where we reach our hand to our partner's far armpit, and we pull the head back towards us. So that now from here, we can start flattening our partner out from this position, and now we do the same kind of passing where our head and our hand post on the floor. Now we free everything, and now we have the choice to either come up and bring our knee inside of our partner's armpit, or once again, free the leg, and then from here pommel across into side control, knee on belly, or what have you. Okay. So this time we feel like we can't get an underhook from here. From here, we come in, we hit a cross face on our partner, and we start pulling our partner's head towards us. From this position, we start leaning forward so our head goes to the floor above the line of our partner's shoulder. Now when she goes to move from here, her head and her lower body are facing in two opposite directions. So from here we put a butterfly hook in, and now we have the choice to pommel across the knee on belly on this side, to come into mount by bringing the leg high, or to pommel across to knee on belly on this side. And now we have good pins in right from here. Okay. If you come to knee on belly on this side, we need to make sure that my partner's elbow doesn't come inside of my shoulder and elbow, and she can start lifting me and bring her knees in from here. So from here, if I pommel to knee on belly on this side, I have to always make sure I can establish an underhook. If you cannot establish an underhook, you can't stay knee on belly and try to hug your partner from here. She'll always just lift the elbow and bring her knees inside. So whenever I see this, you also can't just drop your knee to the floor, because now your partner's knees can point towards you. She can lift the right elbow and bring her knees inside. So if I pommel to knee on belly on this side, I need to be ready, if I cannot get an underhook, to insert my knee between my partner's legs. So what it looks like is you're trapped in half guard, but your foot and ankle are not actually trapped. Now when she goes to bring her knees in, because I control my partner's hips, she can't bring the knees back inside. And now from here, when I'm ready, I can cross face, I can switch my hips to this side, and then just extend my foot out bring my partner's knees in the opposite direction. And now I replace my foot with my own knee. And now we have the top pin and side control. So if from here, we hit our initial back step, we come into this position, we can't get an underhook, okay? So we come into a cross face instead. As we cross face our partner, we come in. You can do this even if you do get an underhook, okay? But especially off of the cross face, it's much more easy for her to re-guard after you get past the legs, okay? The goal is to get past the legs and pin the head and the arm. If we get an underhook, and we pass the knee on belly on this side, now her right elbow is in the outside position. So when she goes to bring her knees up to her chest and reconnect her knees to her elbows, she can't because she can't make any space between my chest and her chest. But if I can't get to an underhook, and we're here, okay, now if I pass the knee on belly to the in front of her guard, from here, if I just stay here, she can just use the inside position with the right hand to elevate me, and now she can throw her legs up, and now I have problems. So from here, if I pull her head towards me, and she goes to elevate, I need to bring my knee inside of her legs. So now I control the hips. Now when she goes to bring her knees up, she can't. And now from here, we can come in and we sit to our right hip. We bring our left hand inside of our partner's hip. So now when she goes to bring the legs up, both hips are controlled. And now from here, we just take our left leg, we extend, and then we replace it with the left knee. So once again, our left leg is inside of our partner's legs, but the ankle is not tracked. My heel is connected to my own butt. So from here, the left knee is inside. When she goes to lock into a half guard, she realizes there's nothing there. Now she still has the right elbow inside. From here, I just walk towards my partner's hips, and now I extend my left leg, and I replace my left leg with my left knee. And now when she goes to face me from here, she can't because the feet and knees point away from me. Now you just work to establish an underhook, and we're in to our top pins from there. Now, same thing, we are in a split squat. My partner comes up to an underhook, and from here we back step. Now we feel like she goes down to the shoulder, so from here we have to start going into other things. So you notice I have certain things that I do based off my partner's based off my partner's actions. Okay, that's where you start to systematize things. So you know what her actions are going to be. If she's flat on the back, the underhook comes in. If she's on the elbow, the Kimura comes into place. If I can't get the Kimura or the underhook, then I start pulling the legs towards me and stepping over. Okay, so I have certain things that I do no matter what she does. So no matter what her action is, I always have a reaction to be able to go into whatever movements I want. Okay, so from here we come in, we pull the legs towards us, and we get to a cross face. Now, a good opponent, as I go to free my legs, okay, I take my leg free, she has elbows inside, and now from here, as I go to bring my leg inside, a good partner from here will start to clear the cross face. She'll start to bring hands inside, she'll start to lift the cross face up, and now from here she can start to give me problems. She can scoop inside the leg, she can start to off balance me in this direction, she can do all kinds of things. Okay? So if at any point during this transition, and again, my leg is inside of my partner's half guard, but she doesn't actually have my ankle trapped. Okay? So if at any point I feel like I'm losing this cross face, from here, we're going to come through and we're going to sit into a reverse underhook, where my elbow comes through and I switch my hips into this position. Now, when I'm in this position, it's again a battle of my right knee relative to my partner's bottom hip. If at any point my knee comes in the middle of her legs or underneath her legs, bad things start happening. What she can do from here is a multitude of things. She can prop up to her left elbow. She can start to bridge into me, and if her knee can come inside of, or her hip can come inside of my knee, now her knee can come through, and now there's back exposure on her part. Okay? So the whole thing from here is I have to make sure that my knee blocks her bottom hip. So I have my knee inserted directly into the pocket of my partner's hip. Now from here, we come in and we grab a scoop grip on our partner's leg. And from here we can pass in the same fashion that we did before. Where from here, we take our hand in front of the hips, we take our head down, and then we walk around. Another great option from here is from here, we can pull our partner's legs towards us. As we pull our partner's legs towards us, we're going to step over with our left leg. Now, as we come up to bring our left knee to the floor, again, our right knee has to stay inside of my partner's elbow. Because if she can bring her elbow inside, she's always going to knee elbow escape as soon as I actually get into mount, which is no good. So as I step over my partner's legs, my left heel hooks into the crease of my partner's hamstring. So that from here, I can physically pull my partner's legs off the floor and connect my right knee and my left heel. So now, as I come up, I pull her knees away from the direction of her knee elbow escape, like so. So I back heel by pulling my left heel in. If her knees stay pointing in this direction, when I come up, if I just drive my knee across and she brings the elbow inside, she can always knee elbow escape. That's no good. So from here, as I come up into a mounted position, I pull her legs with me. And now my foot hugs into my partner's hips. Now from here, my two hands come out, my left knee comes up, and now I end with two of my knees inside my partner's elbows, versus two of her elbows inside of my knees. Because now she has the option to easily go into a knee elbow escape on either side. If we land with my two knees inside of her elbows, before she can knee elbow escape, she has to bring an elbow inside of my knee. And when she does that, I know which way she has to go. She has to go to the side where she dominates the inside position. So I can react accordingly. But if I end with two of my knees outside of her elbows, she can go to either side and she can interchange the side she escapes to, which is no good. Okay? So once again, she comes up to an elbow, she puts an underhook in. I backstep. She falls down to her shoulder, there's no underhook, there's no Kimura available. So I pull the leg towards me, and I step over her leg. I make sure from here, I keep my right knee inside, I cross face, and from here we walk our partner down. But she manages to keep an inside right elbow. From here, we come in, we take our foot out, and from here, as we go to come out, because my partner has an inside elbow, once again, she can always bring her head underneath my chest and cross face and start to elevate me. If I have an underhook, this is no issue. Okay? If I pommel my legs directly into mount, this is no issue. If I pommel my legs behind my partner's guard, this is no issue. Okay? But you have an option to pass to this side knee on belly. And if you're going to do it, which sometimes you have to do it based on your partner's reactions, you have to be able to pass from here even when your partner has upper body inside position. So when I see this, when she goes to elevate me, I just drive my knee in between her legs. So now when she goes to move me around, it's difficult from here. Now, if I can keep the cross face and manage to get to an underhook, great. If I can keep the cross face and she doesn't clear it, I can switch my hips, I can extend the left leg and replace it with the knee. But if my partner uses her hands to clear my crossface, now things start to go south. So as soon as I see the crossface coming over, we immediately take our hand through and we sit to a reverse underhook. And now we switch our hips, and from here, we're into that scoop grip pass that we looked at before. Okay? We can scoop inside the leg, or we can overwrap the outside of the leg. If we overwrap the outside of the leg, we pull our partner's legs towards us, again, keeping our knee connected to the hip. Now, we step over the leg with the intent now to connect our heel to the back of our partner's hamstring. So that from here, as we come up into a mounted position, we pull her legs up with me and connect the left heel and the right knee. So that from here, as soon as I land, my two knees now are inside of my partner's elbows, versus her elbows inside of my knees, where she can immediately escape to either side. Alright guys, so we went over a good amount of things so far. So we stepped a leg to the inside, we have an inside foot. Then we went to a cross hamstring, we started dealing with reverse Del Hiva with inversions before and after they invert. And then we started dealing with how can we pass from a split squat with elbows inside with our prime preferred passing position. And when our partner starts to get to an underhook and starts to go into her attacks, how can we stop that by going into back steps? Okay. From here, another great option from a split squat is as she goes to come up to an underhook. From here, we're going to come up, and as she goes to come up, we're going to raise our right knee, so that from here we can drive our right knee across. When our right knee comes across, our left knee has to come into our partner's right hip. So we drive across to our partner. We drive actively into our partner's pocket of our partner's hip, and we take our left knee across. Okay. Now from here, once again, we're going to come in and we sit down onto our partner's leg. Now from this position, we can come in. If our partner starts trying to underhook us from this position, we're going to come in and we're going to lock over our partner's head with an arm and guillotine. Now, from here, because I have control of my partner's head, it's okay for me to fall down to my hip. So we can do this in one of two ways. We can come in, we can post on our head, and we can use a butterfly hook to free our legs and come into a mounted guillotine. If from here I feel like that's not working, or my partner manages to go into a knee elbow escape where she brings her elbow inside, from here, if I mount, that's not going to make a difference. She's always going to bring the knees inside. If I do manage to clear the legs and her elbow's inside, she can always bring the knees back inside. Okay. So what I'm going to do with the guillotine is dependent upon my knee position relative to her elbow. So from here, if my knee is inside the elbow and she has locked legs, we post the head to the floor and we use our foot to free our trap foot, and now we're in a mounted guillotine. If she can bring her elbow inside of my knee, from here, now it doesn't matter if we mount. The knees will always come back inside. So we're going to insert a butterfly hook, and from here, we're going to fall down to our right hip. So we pull our partner on top of us briefly. From here, the whole thing is I can't let my partner flatten me out. If she flattens me out from here, now she can start to move around to the other side. She can thumb post out. She can go into her defenses. So as I fall to my right hip, I'm going to use my right leg to extend into my partner's far leg. Now when she goes to circle towards me, the combination of the extension of my right foot into my partner's far hamstring and the closing of my left knee into the hip will keep her from coming up on top of me and flattening me out. Now from here, the whole thing is to crunch my partner's chin into her chest. So I'm going to take my right foot, come through as a post. I'm going to lift with my left leg. I'm going to take my right elbow down to my hip. This will always force my partner into a front roll by taking her chin down to her chest. Okay? And now from here, we come up, we post our head to the floor. If our head doesn't post to the floor, it's going to be awkward getting up from here. So we turn our head to the ground, we scissor our legs, and now we're up. Now from here, we step over our partner's body into a mounted guillotine, where now we have finishes, or we can release, and now we have a guard pass. Okay? So from here, we come in, she comes into an underhook, and from here, this time instead of backstepping, we initially get the knee up. Sometimes from here, when I go to bring my knee up, my partner's hips are already rising. So as I go to bring the knee across, it's difficult to get caught in the hips. If I feel this, back steps are better. Okay? So you see how we kind of have a reaction again here. If from here, we have moves for our partner's actions. Okay? If from here, my partner has low hips, we can initially bring the knee to the outside of the hip. If I go to bring the knee to the outside of the hip and she raises her hips so I get caught, the back step is a better option. Okay? And now from here we go to the passes that we just did. If, on the other hand, we can beat the hips with the knee, we drive the knee across, and we end up in this position. Okay? Where initially, we slide across, so our knee connects to our partner's hip. Now, if we feel her going to knee elbow escape, we immediately sit to this position. If your partner is naive, we just land in this position, and now we just start going in and putting in underhooks and passing from here. Okay? But your partner should always be looking to fight for inside elbow position. If she doesn't pass from here, then we put an underhook in with near side, and now we have easy passes where we come right up, just like before. But if we come into this squared position where I have evenly distributed weight on both of my knees, and she goes to knee elbow escape from here, I have to immediately backstep into this position. Now, what a lot of people will start doing is start punching in underhooks from this position. Whenever I see this, we come in and we lock over our partner's head. If from here I dominate the inside knee position with my right knee, I post my head to the floor, and I use my butterfly hooks to free myself into knee on belly or into mount. If she dominates the inside elbow position, now when I go to pass my partner's guard, even if I get my foot free and I pass into mount, the knees will always come back inside, and now she can start to put me back in butterfly guard and free her head. So from here, if I see her elbow inside, we fall briefly down to the right hip. As we fall to the right hip, we use a closing of our knee into our partner's hip and an extension into the far hamstring to keep her from circling me flat to my back. So when she tries to run around to the side, she can't. Now from here, I bring my right elbow down to the floor. I take my right foot through to post. That will always knock my partner down. Now as I go to get up, from here I scissor my legs. My forehead plants on the floor. We come up into this tripod here. For now from here we can come in, step over our partner's body, and either finish one with mounted guillotines, or two, just go into our passes from here. My partner's down in the bottom half guard. And we elect to go from a split squat into a regular half guard, where we put our knee on the floor, and now we're in. So, there's a couple kinds of guards your partner can play from here. Okay, they can play a low knee shield, where they have legs locked, and they have their knee across to your far hip, so that they dominate most of your hips, so your hips can come forward, but your chest can come forward. They can play an open legs knee shield, where the knee points towards the far shoulder, and now it makes it hard for me to get around my partner's upper body. They can play either one of these knee shields, where they can bind the knee and the hand with the cross shoulder post, like we talked about previously. The cross shoulder post is very annoying, because now the knee dominates the space between my chest and her chest, and the second frame on my cross shoulders dominates my entire shoulder line, where her hand dominates my shoulder, her elbow dominates my other shoulder, and she controls the line of my shoulders. So that even if I get past my partner's leg and I go to crush her from here, she can always make space to reinsert the knee, and that's what gives me problems. Okay, so we'll start by just passing the top leg with low and closed and open knee shields. Then we'll go into dealing with the hands, and then we'll go into a butterfly half guard. Okay. So from here, if my partner has a low knee shield with her legs locked and she's coming around my hips, the first thing I'm going to do, assuming the hand's not in the way, is from here, I'm going to bring my hand over my partner's hips. I'm going to post my left leg out. Again, my head position on the far shoulder is incredibly important. If my head is out here randomly somewhere, she can set up into an underhook. She can give me all kinds of problems from here. So from here, my head's on my partner's far shoulder. When she has locked legs and a strong push away from me, when she goes to set up into an underhook from here, it stops her. When she goes to scoop the far leg from here with the right hand, it stops her. Okay? So this head position on the far shoulder is very crucial for your success passing from this position. From here, when she goes to come up and use an underhook or do any of those things, the head position stops her. Now, I want to crush her top leg by dropping my right hip. So as my right hip drops, I sprawl my right leg back. Now from here, my whole thing is to use my right hand behind my partner's hips and a grip with my left hand on my partner's trap or on my partner's collar. If you feel like you can't get a grip with your left hand on your partner's collar because her right hand is doing a good job of stopping you, just move up with your right hand and move and grab the far trap muscle. This will keep her heel pinned to her butt. So when she goes to extend me away from here, it becomes difficult. Now from here, I'm going to drive my right leg up and pommel my left leg behind her leg. So when she tries to do any pommeling with this leg, it's very difficult from here. Now, assuming again we can get an underhook. Everything we've been doing so far is either assuming we can get inside position at the upper body or we can't get inside position at the upper body. Okay. Right now, we're assuming we can get inside position with an underhook. From here, we're going to come in. We take an initial cross face, and now we're going to bring our hip up so that our right hip connects to our partner's hip. Now again, as I turn my hips down, I have to connect my knee to the pocket of my partner's hip. If I'm out here randomly somewhere, the knee will always connect to the elbow. So we have to raise our knee up and blade it down into our partner's hip. Now her whole thing is to bring her right knee to her right elbow. So once again, I drop my right hip to connect to her hip, and I walk back towards her hips to point her knees in the opposite direction of my escape, or in the opposite direction of her escape. So now again, we have pinned shoulders, we have knees and feet pointing in the opposite direction. Okay. In the previous one, when we were here, we had limb extension towards me, and that's where we went into guillotines. Okay. So if you notice, through all these, even if I forget to mention them, my goals are being accomplished either by extending limbs, creating back exposure, pinning the head and shoulders, which is most of the time, and pointing the feet and the knees away from me. Okay. So from here, we're in a half guard. My partner doesn't use a top hand. She just uses a low knee shield with her leg controlling my hips. So from here we come in, we take our elbow behind our partner's hips initially, head to the far shoulder, so our forehead connects to our partner's front deltoid. Leg goes out for base, I drive towards the far shoulder, and I drop my right hip to separate her legs. From here we come in, we hug the hips, and we hug the collar. If I can't hug the collar, which against good people, they won't allow you to have a collar tie, we just come up and we pull the trap muscle back towards us. Now from here, we bring the right knee up and we pommel the left leg behind. When your partner goes to move away from you from here, it's incredibly difficult because of the right hand pulling your partner's head towards the hips and me dropping my right hip and bringing the heel into her hips. Now from here, if we can get an underhook, we come in, we lock a cross face and an underhook. We bring our hips up to our partner's hips. So that from here, we just bring the right knee down to our partner's hip. And now once she goes to recover, we just walk back towards our partner's hips. And we have a nice pass into side control. This time, we come in. We drop the hips down. We expose our partner's leg. But now we can't get an underhook. Okay? So another great option we have from here is from here we come through, we take our left hand and we go over our partner's head, like so. So now when she goes to bring her head away from me, instead of the right hand controlling her trap muscle, the elbow controls the crown of the head. Now my right hand inserts inside of her hips, and now we just bring our knee up and turn our knee down. So that from here again, we drop our right shoulder into our partner's hip. So when she goes to turn into me, I can push diagonally towards the hip. Now we have a good pin in top north-south. Okay. So these are two good methods to get in front of the guard. When I feel my partner has a low knee shield, I can get past the top hand. So we come in, we initially have head position, we crush our two partners' legs together, and we bring our hand inside. From here, we come in, we feel like there's no underhook available. So from this position, we come in, we reach over our partner's head, and we crunch the head towards us. This is an incredibly controlling grip because you control the longest lever of your partner's spine, which is the top of the head. So when she goes to move away from me from here, it's very difficult. Now the right hand comes in front of the knees, and now as my right knee comes around the corner, I turn my head and my shoulder down. So my head connects to the hip, and my shoulder's inside of the hip now. Now when she goes to face me, I just drive diagonally towards my partner's far hip in this direction, and we get nice top pins. Okay. Now from here, another great option is from here. If we feel like we can't get an underhook, we come in, we slide our right hand through, and from here we just lock an initial 10-finger grip. So we start moving into Dar Strangled from here. From here, as I go to move around the corner, your partner has to address this Dar Strangle. So what happens most of the time is she goes to come up. I use this 10-finger grip to bring my partner back down to the floor, and immediately I connect my chin to the back of my partner's neck. So when she goes to bring her back to the floor from here, it's impossible. If my head's out here somewhere and she goes to bring her back to the floor, she can easily bring them back down. So we connect my chin to my partner's neck. Now I shoot through, and we start to lock an initial triangle like so. The problem when people go to finish most Dart strangles is from here, I have the shoulder in the equation. So I lock up and I have the shoulder inside of the strangle. My whole thing from here is to move from a 10-finger grip, and I eliminate the shoulder by moving my head over my partner's head. Here. This takes the shoulder now completely out of the equation. Now, when I go to finish, I take my hand up and I cover the shoulder. The further my hand is towards my partner's spine, the looser the lock will be. So I have to take my hand up, I move my head over, and I cover the shoulder that I just eliminated. And now from here, we place our head to the floor, we step over our partner's body, and we retract our right elbow to our right hip. And that's what gives us finishes. Or, if we're talking about strictly guard passing, we just use it to step over into mount, and then you have a guard pass. Okay? But another great option from here is we separate our partner's ankles by dropping the hip. We take our left hand behind. Now from here, we feel like we can't get an underhook, but our partner makes a mistake of bringing her elbow too far forward past the rib cage. Okay, so again, we have cues. If the elbow comes too far behind the rib cage, there's always underhooks available. If the elbow comes too far in front of the rib cage, there's always Dart strangles available. If the elbow comes directly over the rib cage, now we have to either go over the back and just going for a pass in front of the guard, or behind the guard, which we'll do next. Okay, but if the shoulder comes too far in front of the rib cage, we go over the back. And we just shoot into this 10-finger grip here, where we lock an initial 10-finger grip, we slide around our partner's legs, and we expect them to come up to the knees. If they don't come up to the knees, then we just go into the strangle right from here. From here, we crunch our partner's chin to the chest and bring her shoulder to the floor. Now from here, we come in, we shoot our hand elbow deep, and we eliminate our partner's shoulder by moving our head over her head. If I lock right from here, the shoulder's inside the strangle. So we eliminate the shoulder by moving our head position. Now from here, I solidify the tightness of the strangle by bringing my hand up and covering the shoulder that we just eliminated. So the first thing is to have my chin connected to my partner's neck. So when she goes to bring her back to the floor, it's difficult from here. The second thing is to eliminate the shoulder by moving my head position. The third thing is to cover the shoulder with the hand. And now from here, the head plants to the floor. Now, as I step over my partner's body, we bring the right elbow back to our hip, and we get strong Dart strangles. Or if we want to use it just to pass into mount, we're in, and now we can go into nice top pins in the mounted position. Okay. Now, from here, those are all passes in front of your partner's guard. Now we're doing passes behind your partner's guard. From here, I come in, I can't get to an underhook. I crush my partner's legs together, and I feel like it's just too risky to try to go in front of my partner's guard in this direction. So I'm going to look to go behind my partner's guard. From here, I'm going to take my left hand, and I'm going to feed it through to my partner's thigh muscle. If from here, I try to walk behind my partner's legs, and she has a sticky hook with her left leg, I'll always get caught by this sticky hook. And if I try to raise my hips, my partner can always raise her leg with me and then look to re-guard. So I stifle my partner's sticky hook with a simple flaring of my left elbow. As soon as I flare my elbow into my partner's knee, when she goes to keep a sticky hook now, I can easily walk past my partner's legs. Now from here, we take our left knee and we insert it into this nice leg drag position here. Now again, your partner's in a dilemma. We put so much pressure on her, it's her choice now. If she moves away from me, there's back exposure. If she moves towards me, she moves into a top pin, where now we come in, the knees are pointing away from us, the shoulders are pinned, the head's controlled, and we have a nice pass from there. Okay, so this time, we come in, we start pushing our partner's legs together by separating the ankles, and now we're into this good attacking position here. This time, the elbow is not behind the rib cage, so there's no underhook. The elbow is not in front of the rib cage, so there's no Dart strangle. So from here, we have to start going either in front of our partner's guard by going over the head, or in this case, behind our partner's guard by lacing a leg. Now, as we go to walk behind my partner's legs, if she has a sticky hook and my elbow position is off, she'll always catch me with this sticky hook. So I take my elbow and I flare it into my partner's knee. So now as she goes to keep a sticky hook, she has no ability to follow me, and I can easily walk around and insert my knee. If she turns away from me, there's easy back exposure here. If she turns into me, there's a top pin, and now we have our side control passes from there. So this time, we looked at easy ways to pass a low knee shield, assuming my partner's hands weren't in the way. Okay, but as soon as this top hand starts framing on my shoulders and the upper body comes into the equation, everything becomes much harder from here. Okay, because now, if she frames on my shoulders, when I crush her legs together, okay, when I go to come up and reach for my partner's far trap muscle, because her elbow is inside of my shoulder, when I go to get any upper body position from here, she can easily move her head away from me and start extending her legs. What holds her in place when the hands aren't in the equation is this right hand pulling her shoulders towards her hips. So when she goes to move away now, it's very difficult. But if her elbow's inside my shoulder and her hand's inside my shoulder, now I have no ability to actually access this with any power. So when she goes to move away from me now, and push her head away, she can easily create space. Okay. So when my partner has her hands in like so on a low knee shield, I'm going to look to get past my partner's legs before I get past the hands. Okay, in most cases. From here, we're going to come in. We're going to start driving towards our partner. She's going to have hands on my shoulders. Now, from here, all I'm going to look to do is as I slide my left knee in, I'm going to open up my right hip. Okay? As I open my right hip, this hand is going to push my partner's hips slightly open. This is a very subtle movement, but it gets you past your partner's top leg. So from here, as I push my partner's hips open, we're going to take our left knee into our partner's hip, and we're going to scissor our legs so that our left leg is flush to our partner's back, and from here, my right leg is straight. Now, as she goes to bring her knee back in, I just sit and I glue my right elbow to my knee. So now when she goes to bring the knee shield back in, she can't. She can push on my shoulders, sure, but that won't give her enough space to bring the knee shield back in. Okay? So, just from a different angle, getting past this knee shield. From here, she's knee shield in. I try to get upper body position, but I can't. From here, as I push this hip down, I just switch my left knee in. So as she goes to push away from me, I just open up the right hip, and now the bump of my left knee on her bottom leg, combined with the push of my right hand on the top hip, pushes me past the top leg. Now from here, when she goes to bring her top knee back in, I just connect my right knee and my right elbow. When she goes to bring this bottom knee back in, that's impossible. Okay? So it's a combination of my bottom leg bumping her hips in this direction and my top hand pushing the hip down in this direction. Okay? But I feel like I can't get past the top hands to get to my partner's upper body. We beat the lower body first. So from here I'm pushing in and it'll look like this. So initially, I close my hips towards my partner, and then from here I square right away so that my right elbow connects to my right knee. Now when she goes to move from here, I dominate the bottom knee and I dominate the top knee. Okay? Now all I have to do is figure out a way to incrementally work my hands to the inside position. The question is, how can I do that? Okay? So from here, we come in. We're going to look to put an underhook in, assuming we can't get to an underhook. The first thing we're going to do is first, we're going to take an inside bicep tie on our partner. If I see my partner's hand is higher than the line of her elbow, we go inside bicep tie. If the hand is lower than the line of the elbow, we do something completely different. Okay? So first we'll deal with the inside bicep tie. From here, when her hand is above the line of her elbow, if you draw a line straight out from the elbow, if her hand is above that line, I'm going to go inside bicep tie. Just like we do in wrestling, where I take my hand and I pommel it inside my partner's elbow. Now from here, I have to use pommeling methods to bring my hand inside of my partner's cross face. Okay. From here, if I can come inside the crossface by pommeling out and around or inside and through, we come in and we're in like so. If I feel like I can't get past my partner's crossface, then we do something different. We'll do that in a second. Okay. From here, I see my partner's hand is above the line of the elbow, so we pommel through and we get to a crossface. Now from here, we lock a 10-finger grip. As I go to extend and open up my right elbow, I drive my head over my partner's far shoulder. So as she goes to keep her elbow closed, this will always open the elbow up. Okay. If my partner's naive and I crush the hips down and she just lets me get an underhook, then you just pass from here, obviously. Okay, but I'm not teaching you how to do passes on blue belts. I'm teaching you how to do passes on world-class black belts. Okay. So we come in and we bring the hands inside. We open up the elbow. Now from here, I have the inside elbow position, but she has the inside hand position. So I have to find a way to bring my head inside of her hand. So because the elbow's open, when she goes to beat me with the inside hand position, I can easily pommel my head inside and connect my head to my partner's shoulder. Now I have the inside elbow and the inside head and the inside hand position. So when she goes to bring her underhook back in or bring her hand back inside, it's not going to happen. Now I bring my right elbow in, I retract it, and I shoot to an underhook. If my head rises, the hand can come back inside. That's no good. Okay. And now from here, we have a top, head, and arm. Okay. From here, we come in, and our whole thing now is to dominate the inside position at the lower body. Right now, I dominate the inside position at the upper body, but we're even at the lower body. Okay. If she inserts a butterfly hook with her left leg, now from a third-person point of view, it looks like I'm winning. But because she dominates the lower body inside position, I dominate the upper body inside position, she can still go into attacks. If she lifts everything over her left shoulder, she's right into attacks on my legs, which is no good. Okay? So my whole thing from here is to dominate the lower body inside position. From here, I come forward, my head goes to the floor. Again, we talk about the principle of high elbows. If my elbows are low and I'm trying to squeeze my partner towards me, whenever I pass my partner, especially into mount, okay, she can easily roll me over or at least off balance me from here. So the whole thing when I pass from a top, head, and arm is to have my elbows above the line of my partner's shoulder. So my elbow raises, it comes above my partner's shoulder. My left elbow comes up above the line of my partner's shoulder. Now, both of my elbows are above the line of my partner's shoulder, and my head comes to the floor. So that my head and my two elbows form one straight line. Now from here, we do a basic pass where we come up, and now once we insert the butterfly hook, our whole thing is to bring our right knee to the floor. So we just pike, 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 and our right knee comes down to the ground on this side. Now from here, when she goes to lock onto my ankle, we use the top leg. We push on the top leg to free our foot, our heel, the bottom leg to free the rest of our foot, and then we come in and we have a nice top pin. Okay? So we're dealing with a low knee shield this time. From here, we come in and we start pushing towards our partner. This time, she has not only a leg, but also the hands involved pushing on my shoulders. So we come in, we start pushing towards our partner. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to push on our partner's hip. We're going to use our leg to bump our partner's leg open, and we're going to switch our hips to get past our partner's top leg. We immediately square, and now we're in this good attacking position here. Notice, my left knee is inside my partner's right elbow. If her elbow is inside of my knee, she can easily turn towards me, use the knee to open the elbow, and bring her knee back inside. This is not what I want. So when I switch my hips, and she's a low knee shield, we switch the hips. One, and now I cover with the right elbow, and as she goes to bring her right knee in, or right elbow inside, my knee always dominates the inside position. Okay, this is very important. Now I have to fight my way through the upper body. So from here, when I feel like I'm coming in, and she has hands inside, from here, if I can get the cross face, we use an inside bicep tie. Okay, so assuming we can fight through and get to a cross face, the inside bicep tie is going to come in. Assuming, again, that the hand is higher than the line of the elbow. So we come inside bicep tie, Now we lean forward and we pommel our hand through to a crossface. We lock a 10-finger grip, we open up our elbow, and now we pommel our head inside of our partner's hand. So now we dominate the full inside position with the right hand in the head. We bring our elbow in, we retract, and we have an underhook and a crossface in place. Now from here, we lean forward to insert a left leg butterfly hook, with the goal now of leaning forward, freeing our trapped knee, and again, always making sure that our elbows aren't pinched in towards my partner's body. We always have high elbows like so. So that from here, when I pass my partner's guard and she goes to give a big bridge in any direction, it's completely useless. And now from here we come through, circle back towards our partner's hips, and we have a great pass into side control. This time, my partner has a low knee shield coupled with a top hand. From here we come in, we get past our partner's top leg, and we're in. This time, we go to use an inside bicep tie, but our partner this time tries to shoot in an underhook. Here. So now, the hand is below the line of the elbow. So now, when I pommel my hand through to the crossface, and I try to use this to open up my partner's hand, because her wrist is inside of my armpit, it's very difficult to be able to do anything from here, okay? I can't really open my partner's hand effectively. Whenever I try to shoot my hand back to get an underhook, it just gives her an underhook instead. So from here, when I have an inside bicep tie, and I feel her hand come down, whether I have my crossface or not, we're gonna switch to a reverse crossface, where now I dominate my partner's shoulder line through my hand and my head position. So when she tries to sit up from here, my head and crossface keep her in place. Now, I take my right elbow out, I insert inside my partner's elbow, and now we have head connected to the shoulder, and we have our underhook. Now when she goes to bring her hand back inside, we can easily come in, and now we can pass, okay? Another great pass from here, okay, is from here. A lot of the times, when you pass to side control, and you go to raise your hips, come out to knee on belly, and drive across into into mount, your partner's elbow connects to their knee, and now you find like you can't put any pressure on your partner because they have a side guard. They have the knee connected to the elbow. And now I can't drive across into mount, your partner brings the second hand inside, knee comes inside, and you're like, that was useless. So from here, another great thing that we can do off of this pass, is from here, when we have inside position, the upper body, I get the knee free. From here, we're going to come in, and instead of passing into side control and then attempting to go knee on belly, we're going to leave a butterfly hook in with our right leg. So that from here, we can pommel our left leg in as a butterfly hook as well. Now, we have 2 knees together and 2 feet together. Because of my elbow position, when my partner goes to move me around from here, it's very difficult. Now, I'm going to extend my 2 legs. So this will raise my hip just enough for my right leg to come across my partner's hip. Now from here, her whole thing is to bring her knees into her chest to try to recover. So I extend my body in a straight line and push her feet into a straight line. Now my knees come together. So when she goes to bring her knees up to her chest, it's very difficult. And now my 2 knees slide straight up, and again I contour my toes and feet to my partner's hip. So when she goes to bring her feet to either side, it's very difficult from here. Okay? So we come in. This time we get past our partner's knee, low knee shield, and hand. Where we come in, and we switch our hips. From here we punch an inside bicep tie in, and she shoots an underhook, so her wrist is inside my armpit. From here we come in, we go from a regular crossface, from the previous move, to a reverse crossface, where we pin my partner's shoulders through the reverse crossface and my head position. Now when she goes to come up into me, I take my right hand out, and we pommel her hand in. From here, now we have an underhook, and we have a crossface. From here, we insert our butterfly hook, we have high elbows, and we take our leg through. Now instead of using our foot to free our other foot when she goes to lock onto my ankles, I just insert a second butterfly hook right in here. Now from here, my hips rise by extending my 2 legs, so my head moves forward and I post on the floor. My knee goes outside my partner's hip, and as she goes to bring her knees into her chest, I extend my body in this position. So that now from here I can bring my 2 knees up, and now we pass into a nice top mounted position. And we have 2 elbows already isolated over our partner's shoulders, which brings us right into submissions from here. Okay. So this time we're passing a low knee shield again with my partner's hand with the cross shoulder post. So again, we use the same method of getting past our partner's top leg, where from here we push the hip down, we switch our hips, and we're in. Now, from here, we looked at using an inside bicep tie and a reverse crossface to get to an underhook and a crossface from here. This time, let's say we try to punch an inside bicep tie, or we try to go to a reverse crossface. But my partner is so good with using her right hand to stop me from pummeling through, I can't get to either one. Okay? From here, I can't go over the head. It's difficult to go over the head, and it's difficult to go in front of the shoulders. From here, we're going to come through. We're going to sit to our left hip, and we're going to shoot to a reverse underhook with this left hand. Here. Okay? Now again, the whole thing from here is for me to have my bottom knee in the pocket of my partner's hip, like so. Okay? From here, we're going to come in. We're going to take a scoop grip in between our partner's legs. What this scoop grip does is it dominates the space in between her knees. Okay? So she can always keep her ankles locked, but the space between her knees is controlled through my right elbow position. All right? So from here, once we get into the scoop grip, we're going to come in, and we're going to slide our left knee all the way to our partner's far hip. Now this feels like an unstable position, but it's not. The reason being, your partner can only bridge with one leg. One leg is elevated. So she can only bridge with the right leg if she chooses to bridge. Secondly, if she chooses to bridge from here, she unlocks her legs. And that makes it easier for me to backstep my right leg out. Okay? So from here, most people are going to hold on to your leg as tight as they can. So we're going to open up the right elbow. We're going to use our shin across our partner's hips. The reason why we need the shin across our partner's hips and the hand position is because, one, we need to dominate the space between our partner's knees. If she has her knees pinched over my knee and there's no scoop grip and I go to pull my leg out, I can't. If I have a scoop grip but no shin and wedge across my partner's hips and I go to pull my leg out, she can raise her lower back off the floor and follow my leg. So I need to pin her hips through my left shin and dominate the space her knees through my elbow. And now when she goes to follow me, we can easily backstep out. Now, when my partner goes to come in and bridge and move around from here, I'm in a very, very controlling position. Now we have the choice again to drop our head to the far hip, bring our hands in front of the hips, and then walk into a north-south pin. Whenever we control north-south, we make sure that one, we either circle completely to north-south, so that our 2 elbows connect to our partner's torso, and our head comes in the middle of our partner's stomach. So that from here, when she goes to throw her legs up, she can never get her knees inside my shoulders, and she can't get her legs around my back. If I'm here, my head's out to the side, and I'm square to my partner, she can bring her knees inside, she can bring her legs around, so it can give me problems taking my back. Okay, so we either have the 2 elbows connected, and the head in the middle of the sternum and the stomach, or we bring our head to one side, and we turn our hips down. So our right shoulder moves across diagonally to our partner's hips. We drop our right hip down, and from here, when my partner goes to move, it's very difficult from this position. Okay? So, once again, we come through. We have a low knee shield coupled with a cross shoulder post. We get past our partner's top leg by switching our hips and squaring. Now, we try to go inside bicep tie. We try to do all these things, but they're all stifled because we can't use our hand to get to a crossface or a reverse crossface. So all in one motion, our left hand comes through and we just sit down to our hip. Okay? And we make sure that our left knee, again, is inserted in the pocket of our partner's bottom hip. So that now from here, when she goes to move, it's very difficult. We can also solidify this position by extending my left leg, my bottom leg slightly, and pulling my right heel into my butt. Now when she goes to move, now there's a pull and a push on the hips, and she can't move anywhere. From here, we dominate the space between the knees by taking a right hand inside. We dominate the line of the hips by bringing my shin across, and now when she goes to move or follow me around, we can easily backstep out. From here, we can either come one into north-south, like we just looked at, or we can again overwrap the legs, pull the legs towards us, and now from here, we can do the same pass we did before, where we're up, and we finish with knees inside of our partner's 2 elbows. Okay, so again, you see how everything's starting to tie together here. Now the positions are starting to overlap, okay? And when the positions start to overlap, it means you can enter into these positions, these prime passing positions, from any amount of situations, okay? Now we're gonna look at dealing with a partner with a high knee shield. First with the high knee shield, and then coupled with a cross shoulder post, okay? A high knee shield is different in the fact that it stops my upper body from coming towards my partner, where a low knee shield stops my hips from coming to my partner. So they're similar, but they're different. Okay. The biggest problem for me, like blue and purple belt, was getting past knee shields, getting past top leg. I was trying to push into my partner, I would try to pull legs through, and I would do all kinds of things. Okay. There's simple and easy ways to get past just a knee. Okay. If my partner is pushing into me, like so, the first thing we're going to look to do, assuming my partner's not posting with the hands, is from here. If we can get a hand inside of our partner's hip and an elbow inside of our partner's knee, we're going to come in, and we do this by, again, grabbing our partner's bottom knee and just lifting and moving our shoulder inside so that we can come into this good passing position here. Now from here, if we're able to bring our elbow to the floor, we can do all the passes that we just looked at, okay, right from this position, right? So it's the same thing as passing the low knee shield, but we're just going to pass the high knee shield this time by bringing a hip or a hand and an elbow inside of my partner's knee, okay? And then from here, we can just glue the knee to the hip and slide in, all right? So if we can do that, then we can just do all the previous passes that we just looked at, all right? Now, another great way that we can start to deal with this is we can use this scoop grip that we started looking at before, where we can spin across our partner's leg into cross hashigurami, and we can use all those passes that we just looked at before. Where from here, we come in, we slide across our partner's hips, and now we're into cross hashigurami here. Where now we can use all those previous passes, where we pin the legs down, we hop over, and we do all kinds of things from here. Okay? So if she has unlocked legs, we can use a scoop grip to get past the legs as well. So we can use the inside hand and elbow, like we looked at before with the split squat. We can use a scoop grip, like we looked at before with the reverse De La Riva, and we can use all of those, that whole series from this position, okay? Another thing that we can do from here is from here, we come in, and we take our hand through, and we reach, and as we pull my partner's leg through, we sit to another reverse underhook. So from here, as we pull this hand through, we sit, and now once again, we're in the same passing series that we just looked at from this position, okay? And from here, again, there's a variety of things we can do. We can come in, we can scoop grip, we can backstep, we can pull our partner's leg down, we can overwrap, we can come to north-south, we can do all kinds of things, okay? Another great option we have from here is to go over my partner's head, okay? So if you look at all those previous things, they all overlap into one. So those series of moves can all be used right from this position. The whole thing, again, is how can I incrementally work my way to inside position to get to a top pin, okay? And how are we going to do this with the knee shield like so. From here, another great option is we start pushing into our partner, and as we feel her pushing away, we're going to sit onto our hip. So our left hip hits the floor, and our left hand reaches over the head now instead of a reverse underhook. So we're going to reach all the way over our partner's head, and we're just going to switch our hips past our partner's knee shield. So we get a reaction by pushing into the knee shield. When she pushes back, we just sit past, and our elbow covers the crown of our partner's head. Now, from here, your partner has a couple of options, okay? From this position, if she goes to reach for an underhook, we have easy kimuras here, okay? Where we can start to grab our right thumb inside of her elbow. So when she goes to reach for a far underhook, we can push the hand down, And now we can lock Kimuras. So if she reaches for an underhook, we can push the elbow down with the right hand, make a strong arm. You can push the elbow down and come inside. Okay? If from here she leaves the hand inside, so her hand has the inside position on my armpit, from here we're going to come in, we're going to reach with the palm facing up grip and grab my partner's wrist like so. Where from here we come in, we use a supinated grip to bring our partner's hand down so that the hand comes below the line of her elbow, and we grab in like so. Because we're using this supinated grip where the palm faces towards us, we can easily grab the hand and pull up below the line of the elbow. This gives me back the inside position with my left shoulder. Right now, she dominates the inside position with her hand. When I pull the hand free, now my shoulder's inside. Now we switch our hands and we can lock into Kimuras from here. Okay? From here, once we have a Kimura, we still need to free our legs. So from here, we're going to do a trick where we switch from a two-handed Kimura to a one-handed Kimura. We're going to grab the meat of our partner's hand with our right hand, and we're going to put a bend in the wrist. So that from here, we can grab a grip here with our left hand, and we grab over our partner's knuckle line. If we grab the wrist with our left hand, any extension of her arm will easily free the hand. So we grab over the knuckle line instead. So when she goes to free her hand from here, it's impossible. Now we come in, we bring a scoop grip in place, and now the free hand is able to use this, we're able to use the scoop grip with the free hand. Now our left leg comes across the hips, and now we use the same scoop grip pass that we did with our initial Kimura grip. So now we're past our partner's legs, we have a scoop grip, and we have the luxury of having an exposed arm to go in for Kimuras. Okay? We have the luxury of controlling this hand to go over into mounted position. We have the luxury of controlling this hand to keep her elbow away from the body so we can punch in underhooks, square the hips, and come back into cross faces. Okay? So we use a one-handed Kimura for control, and then once we pass the legs, we go back to a two-handed Kimura or our typical guard passes. Okay? So from here, we have a high knee shield. If we can get an elbow inside, we can do all of our passes from here. If we scoop the leg, we can spin around the leg and we can do all of our attacks or passes from there. Another great option is from here we push into our partner to get a reaction, and as I glue my left knee to my partner's hip, we sit around and our elbow controls our partner's head. Now from here, as she goes to give me reactions from here, it's very easy to start exposing this arm. If she goes into an underhook, we can always retract our right elbow and use a V grip inside of my partner's elbow to push the hand down, and now we can come in and start attacking Kimuras from here. If from here my partner's smart and she keeps her hand inside, now it's hard to lock a Kimura, and she can also start to make space. So from here we take a grip where our hand faces up towards the ceiling. We pull her hand to this line of the elbow, where we go critically below the line of the elbow with the wrist. So now the hand can punch through, and now we have Kimuras from here. Now from here, we have an option to punch an underhook in, and we can also square the hips and go back to the normal head and arm passing, where we do the same series that we did before. Okay? So we can interchange these all together, is what I'm trying to tell you guys. Okay? You don't have to do just one or the other from certain positions. Once we get limbs separated from the body, there's always underhooks available. So we can always abandon the Kimura if we don't feel comfortable and go back to your typical head and arm passing where we go into all of our passing series from here. Okay? So you start to use these interchangeably with one another. If you're using the Kimura, from here we lock an initial Kimura, we move our hand down to the meat of our partner's hand, and we grab with a one-handed Kimura at the meat of the hand. So when she goes to extend her hand in any direction, it's impossible. Now we have the luxury of having a free hand where we can easily scoop our partner's leg and bring our shin across. Now because we have a wedge in front of the hips and we dominate the space between her knees, when she goes to move around, I can easily back step out, and now we're free. And now we have a Kimura exposed where we can finish from here. We can overwrap the legs and step over from here like before. Or from here, we can just use this to punch an underhook in as we switch our hips, cross face, and now we come in and we're into top passes from there. Now from here, another great option from passing the high knee shield with no hands in place is from here, as we sit over our partner's head, we come into this good position here. Now we take the inside position with our hand inside of our partner's hip and our elbow inside of our partner's knee. And from here, we just push our knee free to drive across to our partner's far hip, and the same thing that we did before, where initially we square ourselves to our partner. If she's naive, she'll just stay here, and then I can just cross face and pass right from here. But anyone good is going to be fighting to get their elbows inside of my knees. So whenever I see this, I blade their knee in, and I sit back onto my partner from here. And now we have all the passes that we did right from that position. So you guys start to see how everything changed together. Okay, I'm giving you guys a series of movements, and the series of movements create the system. But you need to be able to know from these dynamic positions when to use each move correctly. Okay, it's not like the back attack system where you have your partner in a static position and you're moving around. Okay, this is a very dynamic position where your partner can give you a lot of reactions, and your goal as a student is to be able to combine all of the moves together and use them at the appropriate times. Okay, that's going to be the biggest thing for you. That's why I'm going to give you guys the rolling footage where I overlap it on why I did this versus why I did that. Okay, I'm going to do a voiceover where I explain to you guys why I'm doing certain movements. Okay, so from here this time, we sit past our partner's head. We bring our knees inside, okay, or our elbow and our hand inside. From here, we drive across, and immediately we start squaring our knees and bring our hands in for base. Now from here, if she stays here, we just put an easy cross face or even a near side underhook in, and we pass from here. Okay? The near side underhook is the best. If we can get a near side underhook, now she has no ability to knee elbow escape because her elbow is impossible for her elbow to come inside of my knee because I have an underhook. If she's a little bit more advanced and I can't get the underhook, I can do a cross face. I can just pass from here. Very good people will fight precipitously to bring their elbow inside of your knee by moving their hips away and now getting the elbow inside the knee. So whenever I feel this, I need to immediately backstep and put weight on my partner's leg. So now I'm actively driving my right knee into her leg, and now into her hip. So now when she goes from the elbow escape, it's very difficult from here. And now from here, we have all of our passes with cross faces and what have you from there. So now, we've looked at dealing with a low knee shield coupled with a cross shoulder post. We looked at dealing with a high knee shield, and now we have to look at dealing with a high knee shield with a cross shoulder post. And if you look at high level competition, all of the best guard players always use the legs combined with the hands to stop people from passing that guard. No one ever just uses a knee shield. It's always a knee shield coupled with one of the hands posting on the shoulders. The cross shoulder post is the most effective way to dominate your partner's shoulders. Because from here, if I use a straight shoulder post, I dominate one of her shoulders, but not the other. If I use a straight shoulder post here, I dominate one of the shoulders, but not the other. If I use a double shoulder post, I dominate both of my partner's shoulders, but it takes both of my hands to do so. So a cross shoulder post with your top hand gives you the luxury of having one free hand and dominating your partner's entire shoulder line. So when she goes to come towards me, my left hand dominates the far shoulder, and my elbow dominates the near shoulder. So when she gets to bring her chest towards mine, I have one free hand, and I have the ability to keep her head and shoulders away from mine. Okay? So the problem is, how can I get past my partner's knee and hand? I can get past the knee quite easily. But to come forward and actually capitalize on it is difficult because I can never get inside position at the upper body. So when my partner goes to bring the knee back in, she always has time to do so because I can never get to controlling grips on the upper body. So the whole thing from here is, how can I get past my partner's legs and arms? I can go past the leg first, or I can go past the arm first. We've looked at a couple where we go past the legs first. Okay, for example, the low knee shield with the locked legs. We go past the legs first and then deal with the arms. In this case, we're going to go past the arms first and then deal with the legs. Okay? So when she has a high knee shield with hands in like so, from here we're going to come in. We're going to use again that supinated grip where our hand faces towards us. From here, we're going to pull the hand across the body so that from here we can reach through and we can connect our shoulder to our partner's armpit. Now the whole thing is for me to just lock an initial 10-finger grip. Unless you have extremely long arms, it's going to be difficult for you to lock a figure 4 right away. So from here, we just lock a 10-finger grip, and we control our partner's head. When she goes to move away from me from here, because I have, again, the longest end of the lever of her spine controlled, it's very difficult for her to move away. Now from here, when she goes to keep me controlled with the legs, it's very easy now for me to just switch my hips, just like we did in the beginning, and crush my partner's legs together. Now from here, we just insert our leg, and we drive our leg through. And now once again, we're into the same series, where my partner turns into me. We bring a chin to the chest with this 10-finger grip. We cover my partner's neck with my shoulder. We shoot our hands through, and now we eliminate the shoulder by moving our head out to the side. Again, chin comes to the back, so when she goes to bring her back to the floor, she can't. Now from here, we go from a 10-finger grip to a wrist-to-wrist grip and to a full figure 4. Now we eliminate the shoulder and the strangle by moving my head position from over the shoulder, because I don't want to have the shoulder inside of my shoulder. So you eliminate the shoulder by moving our head out like so. Now we cover that shoulder to make the strangle tighter. The further the hand is towards the floor, the looser the strangle will be. So we move our hand up to the shoulder, and from here, everything's in tight. And now from here, we can use this to either circle to north-south or step over into mount like we did previously. Okay, so we come in, and our whole thing is to get past the hand first to lock a 10-finger grip to control our partner's head. So we come in, she starts posting. Now, just like we talked about before, I want extension of limbs. Okay, with just the leg in like so. If she keeps her hands in like in close to her body, there's no door strangles, there's no underhooks, there's nothing. Okay, but it's easy for me to get past the top leg. In order for her to stop me from getting past the top leg, she has to extend her limbs into me and bring her elbows away from her torso. Now, because I threatened the guard pass so heavily at the legs, and her limbs extended, now there's chances for submissions. Okay, so we put so much pressure on our partner through the previous passes with sitting through and crushing the knees down, bringing the knees out, and what have you, that she has to start extending her arms to keep me away, which is a smart thing for her to do, but it's also things that I can do from here. Okay, so from here she extends. From here we come in, we grab a hold of my partner's hand, we bring her hand past the shoulder, so we shrug her hand past by bringing our right shoulder to our partner's armpit. Now we reach over the head and we lock an initial 10-finger grip. Now when she goes to keep her legs locked, she can't have a high knee shield anymore. I can always crush the leg down. The problem initially is crushing the leg down and getting past the arm. I'm dealing with getting past the arm by pulling it across my partner's body. I'm dealing with the leg by turning my shoulders down. So now my partner's forced to lock a low knee shield. Okay? Or from here, I pull everything across, I lock up, and now my partner has to lock a low knee shield with her legs locked. Okay? As she locks in low knee shield, we do the same initial break of the ankles by sprawling our hips backwards. Now we pummel our foot behind, so my partner can't pummel with the legs, and from here, we drive our knee through, and we're in. Now from here, if our partner stays in this position, we can just connect our knee to our partner's hip, switch to a cross face, and from here, we're into a top pin. Okay? But more than likely, she's going to come up, and then we go through that whole series that we just went through. Okay? So from here, we're in. She's a high knee shield coupled with a cross shoulder post. From here, I get past my partner's top arm by pulling it across and shooting my shoulder to my partner's armpit. Now we come in, we reach around the head, and we get an initial 10-finger grip. From here, as she goes to lock a low knee shield now, because it's the only thing she can do, I have to crush her two legs together and bring our foot behind like so. Now we bring our knee through, and my partner makes a choice. Either she comes up and we sit her back down and we go in for strangles, or she can stay right here, and then we can just replace a 10-finger grip with a tight waist, circle back towards the hips, and now we have a nice top pin from there. Okay, now let's say we come in and we don't have any interest in actually attacking Dar strangles. We feel like, for whatever reason, our partner is always escaping or creating scrambles. Whatever the case is, you don't want to go into a Dar strangle. From here, as we go to hit this Dar strangle, we come in, and instead of using a low knee shield, my partner just extends her legs straight past our hips. Now from here, instead of following the Dars, because our legs are locked around my partner's, we can choose to stay with the Dars if we want to. Okay, if we want to cover the head and then go into a full Dars, we can. But another great option from here is replacing the 10-finger grip by bringing my hand over and connecting my two hands. Now from here, as this hand turns into a crossface, we just move our right knee out in this direction, and we bring our left knee to our partner's hip. And now from here, we're in that same passing position we were in before. Your partner will always be able to bring the elbow back across the center line and recover. And now we're into that same game. We're looking to do inside bicep ties. We're looking to use reverse cross faces, or we're looking to sit over our partner's head into any of these attacking positions. Whether it's with a reverse underhook, whether it's over the arm, and we can use scoop grips, we can use hands inside, and we can go into passes from here. So this time we come in, we use an initial Dar strangle to get past our partner's top arm. We lock our hands, and our partner chooses for whatever reason to shoot their legs straight through and past the hip. From here we take our 10-finger grip, we switch to a crossface, and all in one motion we just take our right knee out in this direction. Our left knee connects to our partner's hip, and we square our partner's hips to the floor. Okay? Your partner's whole thing from a half guard is stopping me from getting past the top knee, stopping me from getting past the top arm, which if I do that I get chest to chest, so stopping me from getting chest to chest, and stopping me from dominating her bottom knee. Okay? When all these things that I'm doing, when I switch my hips from a low knee shield, when I switch my hips from the Dar strangle, I'm always pulling her knee away from her elbow. If she can keep her right knee connected to her right elbow, I can never dominate that space. So the whole thing from here is I'm pulling her knee back to her center line. Here. Now when she goes to bring her knee to her elbow, she can't. And that's where all of my passes easily become available. Okay? Okay, so this time, another great option we have from here is my partner, let's say we can't pull the hand all the way across, okay? My partner has a high knee shield, she has a cross shoulder post, and from here, she knows that it's difficult for me to pull the hand across, and she's keen to that by pulling her elbow back to her rib cage when I try this. So from here, I'm gonna take that initial scoop outside my partner's leg like we did before. We pull the leg by, and we passed. This time, that won't work, because if I pull the leg by, I can never get chest to chest, and she can always bring her leg back in eventually and give me problems. So from here, I'm just going to take this initial lace of my partner's legs. Okay. Now from here, we're going to come in and we're going to take our partner's hand with our free hand, and we're going to feed her hand to my wrist. So I have a false grip with my wrist, a 90-degree bend in the wrist. A false grip is, you see the gymnasts use them on the rings. We have a 90-degree bend in my wrist, where we pin her wrist to the top of her own thigh. Okay. Now you won't be able to hold this grip forever. If she pommels her hand free, she can obviously free her hand eventually. But this will give you enough time to pull the hand through. Because I'm pulling the leg through, and because the hand is no longer on my far shoulder, you can always pull the hand through and sit over your partner's arm into this position. Where now from here, I extract my right hand, and we're into that same exact Kimura series passing, where we switch to a single-handed Kimura. We dominate the space between her legs with my elbow position. We put a wedge in front of the hips so she can't follow me, and now we backstep past my partner's guard. Okay. So from this position, when we feel like we're coming in, we feel like we don't want to go for darces and we're having trouble with that, we come in, we use our free hand to just subtly feed our right hand in, and our free hand feeds our partner's wrist to our hand. If the hand is down here, you'll just pull the hand through and you won't be able to get past the top knee. So we make sure that our hand comes deep through so that our wrist connects to the top of our partner's quadricep like so. Now from here, I pull everything through and I sit over my partner's arm. So that from here, I take my right hand out Now we can easily have Kimura entrances from here. Now we switch to a one-handed Kimura like so, and then we do all of our passes either with scoop grips and backstepping, or sliding across, underhooking, whatever you want from here. Okay?